All right. Hey, friends. I am back. I wanted to create a second video and kind of cover some things to tie the last couple of videos together. It's kind of a difficult thing, right? To really grasp a lot of the concepts without going out there and looking at the source material that I've been digging into for the past 40 years. All right, which is, of course, one of the big reasons why I'm sharing this with you. I'm hoping, number one, that it will put a spark in your mind, that you'll want to go out and look up these things for yourself. And also that, that this becomes the basis for discussion that we can continue to have together. I don't want this to be some kind of one-way communication. I don't want to be the sage on the stage. I don't want to be your religious leader. None of that. I want to share. I'm hoping that that you do too. Let me move this out of the way just in case it's blocking the camera. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to say is that in many of the world's religions, starting with the Far East, it was understood that the Godhead itself was not a singular entity. We talked about, Shintoism and Buddhism. We haven't really gotten into the Bhagavad Gita, which is translated into the Song of God, which is a very beautiful poem. If you haven't read it, you need to do so, because it's a beautiful and enlightening message that really is the foundation of Hinduism. Now, Hindus may reach out to me, "Oh, Tom, you don't understand," and I probably don't, because I was not raised in that belief system. But it has some very tangible things that connect over, that those who consider themselves Christians must understand in order to not be sheeple. All right? You are not meant to be a follower of the teachings of other men. You are meant, as you were created to be, the direct offspring of God. I'm sorry if the camera is picking up some road noise. I'm parked here next to a bridge. It's a pretty spot. It's a place that I like to come to. I apologize in advance. But I want you to think about this. We talked about energetic mitosis. And that means that that God created a yin to its yang. All right? You've probably seen the yin and yang symbol, which is, two things kind of wrapped around themselves, and in the core there's a dot. One side is black, one side is white, and then the black side has a white dot in it, the white side has a black dot in it, but they're wrapped around themselves in equanimity. All right? In order for you to gain an understanding that that is how the design of the cosmos was accomplished. All right? And if God, the original entity, is the yang, meaning that male part, and it created a yin through that energetic mitosis, that it would create an equal and opposite. All right? And you and I also have that built into us. All right? So, the interesting thing really is that if you go back to early writings that were pulled together by Emperor Constantine at the Nicene Convention, where they were seeking to figure out some way to control this new belief system called Christianity and make sure that it doesn't have within it things that were detrimental to their control. And that's exactly what the Nicene Convention was all about. And so they pulled together as many religious scholars as they could find. And then those were led by folks who were scholars of the Roman pantheon, which of course Constantine was a direct descendant of, the believer in. And then they sought to take advantage of the population that was converting to Christianity. In those early writings, the Holy Ghost was referred to as a female essence, as a female being. Remember that yin to the yang. And that's how it's understood across most of the world, except for in many male-dominated societies who found a way to get rid of a lot of the female power persona so that they could justify the ways that they existed in the domination of men over women, when it was supposed to be a society built on equal footing, because that is how, excuse me, a little bit of Mountain Dew coming back to haunt me there. Excuse me. That's how it was meant to be. There are certainly things about women that they have in abundance that men do not have, and that men have in abundance that women don't have. In fact, if you want to go back to Viking culture was probably some of the most equal societies between men and women that ever existed, at least in Europe. And women had the right to divorce their husbands if he wasn't pulling his weight and doing what he was supposed to do. And the same with men. Although, for the most part, although there were exceptions, if you were a very gallant female warrior, where you were allowed to have more than one man, men were allowed to have more than one woman. They would have their main wife and maybe a second or third or whatever they could afford, or slaves that filled that. And a lot of people don't realize that slavery existed all over the world at all times up until really the 1800s. Asians had Asian slaves. India folks had slaves of their counterparts. Africans held African slaves. Europeans held European slaves. Native Americans in both North and South America held slaves. It's just the way the world worked back then. But the interesting thing in Viking society was that those slaves were more like indentured servants, and once you became enough enculturated into Viking society, you became one in your own right, and you were no different, no matter where you had been procured from. And remember, other groups took Vikings as slaves as well. The Holy Roman Empire enjoyed having blonde, blue-eyed slaves from the north. They fetched a large price in their slave markets. Anyway, going back to what we were talking about here. So, when you think about it and you realize that Yang and Yin are basically two sides of the same coin. They are one in purpose. It takes both of them together in order to procreate in an energetic sense, and of course in our physical sense. All right. let me talk about something here that's, I think, really important. And take me a second to find here. If you've read anything about biocentrism, you should probably go out and look at the different books by Robert Lanza, Lanza. Who it's funny because Tesla said that all science is physics. Lanza was the complete opposite, where he said that all science is biology and that physics can only be understood through the methodologies by which biology follows the science of physics. All right? Where Tesla said that biology must be understood through physics. Bottom line here is really that they are one and the same. All right? All right. I got a truck pulling up here next to me, going to launch his boat. I'm going to cut this one shorter, and we will chat later. And I'll see you later, guys. Folks, bye.